What's going on, people? Welcome back to Curtis Shaw TV, back with another live stream. Today we'll be looking at the latest goings off at Arsenal and in the general world of football. Lots of transfer news going off, defenders being moved, goalkeepers being linked, strikers being linked, and of course midfielders. Big up to everyone in the chat. Thank you very much for tuning in. Apologies for earlier. I did list this video as 2:30, and for some reason YouTube was showing it as 12:30 or something like that. So for those of you that thought I was coming on earlier, apologies for that. YouTube's got a mind of its own at times. But here we are, people. Big up to everyone for tuning in. I can see we've already got over 70 likes on the video, so smash a like on the video if you can, and subscribe if you haven't already, people. We're here, man. We're here as usual. Big up to everyone. Let's see what you're saying before we get into it. Hit the likes. Maddison, man, yo, you don't think Maddison's going nowhere? And yeah, I just heard that Chelsea, is it Koundé, the French international, Chelsea have agreed terms, I think, with the player. Of course, Varane is going to Manchester United. That deal has been agreed. Konate, of course, who went to Liverpool, and now obviously Ben White on his way to Arsenal. So you make a great point there. You know, out of those four, will it just go in order of ability? You know, because it doesn't always work like that. And I know you're going to expect me to say that because realistically, Ben White is not, he's probably the least big name out of those guys. You know, like someone put a tweet up earlier saying it's unbelievable that Varane, world champion, I think 3 or 4 times Champions League winner, Spanish title, Spanish Cups, Super Cup. And then you got Ben White, who's had 1 season in the Premier League and won nothing. He actually costs more than Varane. But of course, we know a number of factors, you know, as to why that happens. I think he's 5 years younger than Varane. He's English. He's coming from another Premier League club. He's got years left on his contract. I think Varane had 1 year left on his deal, 1 or 2 years. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting for sure. But clubs are starting to move now. You know, I really hope that Arsenal can start moving now, because even creating content sometimes, it's a bit like you sit there and you do your research and you go, right, who are we talking about today? And you're like, oh, him again. You know, you just want some deals to get done. So, yeah, it is what it is. Jack said, don't think Varane is that good, honestly. I mean, I think people now have this question mark with Varane that last season was one of his worst seasons and Ramos missed a lot of it. So then people all of a sudden are saying, well, actually, is it Ramos that's been carrying him? Now, I don't think it is. I personally think Varane's a very good defender. But he's had a few injury concerns. Listen, I personally think Varane next to Harry Maguire will be a decent partnership. In fact, I think it'll be a very good partnership because I think Varane brings what Maguire doesn't have in mobility and reading the game well and pace, where I think Maguire is good in the air. Koundé to Chelsea. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure how good he is. I've got to be honest. I've seen a little bit of him. But time will tell. Chelsea obviously want to make a move now. Diego said, tell Aubameyang allow the Travis Scott hairstyle. Bro, you know what? I don't care what hairstyle this guy has got. Just perform. That's all I care about. Just do the business, you know? Be nice and humble. Big up, Curtis. Liverpool therapy today, please, as FSG ain't signing anyone. Yeah, I saw a report that Liverpool may not sign another player in this window, which I think would be a big mistake for them. I still think they've got enough quality to compete and challenge with Van Dijk and all those guys back. Gomez, Konate's coming as well. But I think Liverpool would expect a couple more to come in. And yeah, you know what? I always try and ease into the stories, especially if they're not the best of stories, you know, so that Arsenal fans, we don't get too wound up by the usual stuff. But as you've put it there, news has just come out that Renarsson, who was going to go on loan to a Turkish side with an obligation to buy next summer, the deal has collapsed, unable to agree personal terms, and he may be back at Arsenal. We may see Renarsson in an Arsenal shirt again. So, we're going to have to prepare ourselves. Listen, hopefully we get him out and get him somewhere else. But we'll have to see, Like you said, who would want him? I suppose there are some clubs. Maybe go to the Championship or something. But we have collapsed too as fans. I know we've put up with a lot over the past few years. But listen, onwards and upwards we go. Let me try and give you something positive to look at and hope for. As you can see in the title, in the thumbnail, James Maddison is the number one target for Arsenal boss Mikel Arteta this summer. This is the one they want more than any other. As Chris Wheatley has reported, James Maddison is at the top of the list for Mikel Arteta. There has been no formal approach from Maddison, but it's understood that Arsenal have sounded out the possibility of signing the 24-year-old through intermediaries. Now, when you read this whole story, what it goes on to say is that Arsenal think a deal can be done between 60 and 70 million pounds for Maddison. It is believed that Leicester would be willing to sell him if they got an acceptable fee for him. They're not actively pushing him out the door. Also, Maddison is not actively seeking the move. He's not going to put in a transfer request, in my opinion. But he is prepared to go to Arsenal at what they've spoken about. I think Arsenal are saying they'll offer him about 180 grand a week. Naturally, he's going to be interested in the move. It also goes on to say that Arsenal are looking to get rid of a few players before they make an official approach from Maddison. This is where the frustration is starting to come in now with Arsenal, because we're here saying sign players. And of course, I'm saying exactly the same thing. The problem is, and like I said, I've made a list here. You go throughout the squad, you go into goalkeepers. Renarsson needs to go. Again, like we said, the deal's collapsed today. You go into the back four. Kolasinac, he needs to go. We've got three right backs in Chambers, Cedric and Bellerin. Bellerin needs to go. You go into the midfield, arguably El Neni could go as well. Joe Willock could go. Torreira and Granit Xhaka. So that's four central midfielders who could be moved on. You look into the attacking players. Willian, Reece Nelson possibly could go on loan. And then into the strikers, you're also looking at Eddie Nketiah and Lacazette. I don't know how many players that is, but I think it's 11 or 12 players there with question marks over them. We have got a lot of players to get rid of, and we haven't moved enough players out of the door yet, and that's the problem. And as I always say and kind of joke about, it's very difficult to get rid of your rubbish. No disrespect to those players, but the players that we don't want, who are on high wages, it's difficult to come and convince a team to come and buy a player that's been underperforming at your football club, that is also going to command a high wage, especially in this pandemic market. You've seen the transfer window is moving very, very slow at the moment, Joe said there have been a lot of number one targets, 100%. Too many number one targets. But I think Maddison is the main target, I got to be honest. Quinton said, what about Ainsley? Ainsley is another one who could go. I think with Ainsley, there is a possibility of him staying at Arsenal for the simple fact that, number one, I'm not sure too many clubs want him. Number two, the clubs that do want him probably aren't willing to pay what was being linked with last summer. We were talking about £20 million for him. He was in the England squad. It looked as if he may go to the Euros. I think now, after that West Brom loan, you're looking at 15. They may even offer like 12, 13 million for him if a club came in for him. So I think because of his versatility, his ability to play wing-back, full-back, centre midfield, still English, you can see the premium that is being put on English players like Ben White. I've just got a sneaky feeling that Ainsley may be at the club next season. That's just me. Maybe if a Leicester do come in for him, then he goes. But, we did hear Leicester were interested. So like Cronke out is saying, 45 to 50 million plus Ainsley, if they did still want him for James Maddison, seems like a good deal all around. Intianan said Ainsley will be our right back next season. Strong feeling. Listen, I think he's better than Hector Bellerin. It's just whether he is willing to play right back and learn the position properly. It seems as if There are a lot of mixed reports about whether he wants to play there or not. Stackademic says the Curtis Shaw podcast. Yeah, listen, I'd love to do podcast kind of conversation as well and get guests on and things like that. So, yeah, maybe something we'll look into. Robbie Wood, man, got the laughing face. Big up Pep Teta as well. He said, everyone will start playing the waiting game. I hope no panic signings. I just think this window will go right down to the wire. Buenos Aires Good has said, yo, Curtis, Rihanna is on the top of my list. Means nothing. Where's the bids? I mean, even the bids, yeah. You can bid. You could bid for Rihanna. It don't mean she's going to accept it, you know. So like you said, they could be at the top of your list. It don't mean it's going to happen. Ainsley needs to be trusted. He would have excelled under Wenger. Yeah, possibly. I just think with Arsenal, we've got to get out of this habit of taking shortcuts, which we do all the time, you know. Last season, Cedric couldn't get a kick for the last 2 or 3 months. Everybody was saying he's on his way out. And then all of a sudden, we're talking about he's looked great in pre-season. We might play Cedric at right back. We all know that Cedric is a competent right back, but he's not good enough. He's not elite. If you want to compete with those teams above you, which let's face it, we've got a lot of ground to catch up, you've got to look at the other teams. You know, you got to look. Manchester City have got Kyle Walker. They've got Cancelo on the bench. Liverpool have got Trent. United have got Wan-Bissaka. Chelsea have got Reece James, you know. You can't turn up with Cedric. You can't turn up with Hector Bellerin. You can't turn up with Callum Chambers. Teams will expose that. I've spoke time and time again. Fullback is one of the most difficult positions in the Premier League to play. The left wingers are ferocious in this league. If you're a right back, you're playing against Sterling, Mane, Heung-min Son, Zaha, Grealish. That position, Rashford, that position is unforgiving. Maybe a Neto at Wolves. You can get ripped apart at right back. It's not a position that you can play about with right now. And I feel like Arsenal are kind of playing about with it. Harvey Barnes, yeah, very lively, dangerous player. Like we said, Neto, Zaha, loads of quality players that can rip you apart. You can't turn up with a right back that is bang average because that one player can cost you the games. They'll expose it. So I think Arsenal need to understand that that position needs to be addressed. It really needs to be addressed. But in terms of the James Maddison situation, for me, I don't think any deal will happen anytime soon. I think you're going to see Arsenal have to move players on, which is very frustrating. I think a lot of fans now are at the position. Naturally, sometimes you get caught up in what other teams are doing. And you see United, Sancho's through the door, Varane's on his way. Now Chelsea look like this Koundé, is it from, where's he from? Seville. He looks like he could be going there. Obviously, they're trying to get Haaland, City trying to get Kane. We don't want to see players bought on the last day of the window. By the last day of the window, we'll have already played 3 games in the Premier League. 2 of them are Chelsea and Manchester City. If we lost those 2 games, the fans would already be going crazy because they'll be saying, well, how come you've had over 2 months to fix this squad and you're still scratching around for players at the end of the transfer window? Preparation is key. You know, we're the team out of the so-called big 6 that needs to do the most work because we finished, we finished below everyone else. So it's difficult. I really want to see Arsenal selling players. You know, the Euros is finished, the Copa America, the Gold Cup's still going on, but do you know what I mean? We haven't really got players over there. Players now need to get deals done. We need to try and get players out. And I think Arsenal are in a position where they're going to have to take a hit on certain players. So if Roma are offering 17 million euros, but we want 20 million euros, we may just have to sit there and say, do you know what? What's more damaging for Arsenal? Negotiating over a couple of million or 3 million euros and keeping Granit Xhaka, who doesn't want to be here, and we feel it's time to move him on, or getting rid of him for 17 million and just say, you know what? Get him off the wage bill. It hasn't worked. Let's get that 17 million into the club and go and buy someone else. Because at the moment, all of those players I just listed that we need to get rid of, not many of those are actually going to make us that much money because Renarsen's going to go on loan. You look at players like Saliba, Guendouzi, they've gone on loan. Not many players are going to actually go for an upfront transfer fee. If Bellerin goes into Milan, loan with obligation, Willock is probably a player that we could potentially get some cash for. We've got to take the hits. If we value a player at 20 and they offer 16, 17, we've got to take it. And I know that's horrible because we want Arsenal to not be a pushover in the transfer market. But the position we're in right now, we can't afford to get to August the 31st and still have, like you said, Kolasinac, Granit Xhaka and these sorts of players. They need to be moved on. Take the hit. You've made the mistake and moved them on. James Maddison, for me personally, this is just my opinion, he would be my number one target in that number 10 role, because we're being linked with a lot of number 10s and so on and so forth. Our midfielders scored 6 goals last season between all of them. 6 goals. That is one of the biggest problems that Arsenal faced last season. When Aubameyang's level dropped, which it did, and we struggled to get him back up to that level, what we needed was somebody to take that pressure off him, a midfielder to go and get 10, or Lacazette to go and score 20, or Pepe to go and get 14. But nobody did. James Maddison gets you 8 to 12 goals a season from attacking midfield. We desperately need goals in this team from midfield. Mikel the Coneman said Willock worth at least 30 mil. I mean, if we were buying Joe Willock would cost 30 million plus without a shadow of a doubt. You can see it already. They'd say England under 21 international. He's English. He scored all those goals from January. If we were buying Joe Willock, we'd pay 30 to 35 million probably for him. But because Arsenal are selling him, we'll probably just about get 20 for him. And it might even be a loan with an obligation. It seems to change itself around when we're selling someone to when we're buying them. Charlie Harmer said, couldn't agree more. We have a lot of players to sell. It's serious at Arsenal right now. Worries. Because the thing is, imagine we're negotiating. Imagine I've got interest in one of your players. So let's say I want Granit Xhaka. I know that he's on big wages, nearly 100 grand a week. I know he's got 2 years left. He wants to leave and you want to get rid of him. So you're going to say, right, I value Granit Xhaka at 20 million. And I'm going to go, 20 mil, but I know how desperate you are to sell him and you want to buy James Maddison. The player wants to leave. It's a pandemic. I'll give you 12 million for him. And then you're getting caught, we'll go, okay, we'll give you 15, take it or leave it. And all of it. And what Mourinho's doing is he's playing that hand. He's going, well, do you know what? I'll go and get someone else. You need to sell him more than I need to buy him. And Arsenal at the moment are not allowing Roma to win that battle. I would let Roma win that battle. You may feel like you've done us over and you've got him for £2 million less than you wanted to. But ultimately, we can move on. We can't move on in this transfer window until we get rid of these players. And this is the problem. Roma are broke, just pay the money. But yeah, like you said, if they're broke, why are they going to pay the money? They're in the Europa Conference League. I'm sure they've given Mourinho a big wage to go there. They've offered, 15.5 million pounds, 17 million euros. It's probably a take it or leave it for them. Big up Count Troshkiller. Hope I haven't butchered that name. Appreciate the super chat. How come English tax is only when Arsenal want to buy players? You got to be in a position of power. And we're not in a position of power right now because of where we are in the league. If we was in the Champions League and we were a dominant force, I don't think we'd be paying 50 million for Ben White, but because Brighton are going, okay, we know you really need that player. We get bumped. And like I said, when we're selling players, the English tax doesn't seem to stand up, unfortunately. Different knock. I'm telling you, I think I think it is a different kind of knock. I think they're knocking on the wrong door. I don't even think it's the right house. You know what I mean? Man said when Arsenal knock, it's a different knock. Yeah, I agree. I don't think you're even knocking on the right house. And when you did knock on the right door, every Arsenal fan said, listen, go and knock on Brighton's door and get Basuma. So you find the right door and you go, give me Ben White 50 mil. Now, I ain't got nothing against Ben White. If we were signing Basuma and Ben White, I'd probably be celebrating the Ben White deal. But in the context of things, it's like, I can't believe you went to the club we all wanted you to go to and you got a different player and you actually paid more for him than what you would have probably paid for the other player. It's only the Arsenal way. Listen, I hope it all figures itself out by the end of the transfer window. I think we can all sit here and agree Arsenal need a goalkeeper because after Bernd Leno, we haven't got no competition. We need a right back. I'm worried about right back. I'm going to be honest with you. I can see a situation where they keep Ainsley, they keep Chambers, they keep Cedric. We may even get stuck with Bellerin, and then we're not going to buy a right back. So the right back situation worries me. We'll get Ben White at centre back. The midfield, I'm apprehensive, because I don't see Locatelli coming. I don't know why they haven't gone for Awar yet. It seems like they're waiting till the end of the window. So we need a central midfielder unless Lokonga comes in and just tears the place up. But I'm not sure whether he will. I hope he does, but I don't know if he's ready for that. And I think we need another attacking midfielder. You can't just rely on Smith Rowe. You need other options. Smith Rowe's had injury problems in the past. So, you're looking there at what? A keeper, right back, centre mid and attacking mid. That's at least 4 players. If Lacazette and Nketiah go, you need a striker as well. I don't see how Arsenal get 5 players through the door in just over a month. And on top of that, we've got to probably sell 7 or 8 players. Edu, mate, you better get working because right now, I don't know what you're doing here. Are you doing your travel agent? Are you booking holidays for people? I want to know what's going off at the football club. Get some deals done quick. We ain't got time to be messing around right now. We cannot start the season underprepared. We have a difficult start to the season. Brentford away will be difficult. Brentford away will be difficult. Promoted sides away from home with the fans behind them. It's a tricky game. Then you play Chelsea, champions of Europe, and then you play Manchester City, who are the Premier League champions. We got to get moving and shaking, as I say. Cap said, all is fine. We have Willian. Listen, I'm putting this out to all of you now. Every Arsenal fan out there. Be prepared for Willian being at Arsenal next season. Get in our minds that we may be watching Willian in an Arsenal shirt next season. Because to me, once that MLS deal collapsed, I don't see him going anywhere. I think that was the only hope of Willian going on that wage. I don't think anybody will go near Willian in this transfer window. But we'll have to see. People, make sure that you vote. Listen, people, Football Content Awards, link in the description. If you can vote for me, it would be much appreciated. Best new content creator. I know a lot of you have already voted, but the link is in the description. Polymation said Arteta won't make it past Christmas. I mean, we'll have to see if he does. I'm not sure. He will have to do very well. O'Malley said, Curtis, would you take Latour and Martinez? 100%, but we got absolutely no chance of that. Let's move on. More transfer news. This guy's name is back in the press. We thought this story was done and dusted. Big up Omar, he said, listening to Curtis while in my driving class. Concentrate on the road, my friend. You need that license. But Chris Wheatley is saying, and Chris Wheatley is one of the go-to Arsenal reporters to follow now. He really is strong in that sense. But he's said Arsenal have not given up on signing Martin Odegaard, and the Real Madrid midfielder is keen on returning to the Emirates this summer. Now, I want to know your opinions on this because I've always had this impression that Arsenal wanted Odegaard back. I don't know why. I think that Arteta likes players that he can kind of shape, that are going to follow his rules and kind of do what he wants them to do. I think he clashes sometimes with players that have got very big personalities. You've seen him and Aubameyang have kind of not got on great. I think Pepe and him as well. Guendouzi and Saliba. Certain players he hasn't quite got on with, where I think Odegaard, you saw when he left, he was very complimentary of the manager. So clearly they have a good relationship. Now, they're saying 35 million could be the price if Odegaard was allowed to go. Now, there are a lot of reports coming out of Spain today saying that Madrid are actually going to probably keep Dani Ceballos and sell Martin Odegaard. The reason being, their new manager, Carlo Ancelotti, tends to play 4-3-3 rather than 4-2-3-1. You even look at Everton when he signed James Rodriguez, who is preferably a 10. He played him on the right and let him, drift inside rather than playing him in that 10 role. So a lot of people are now saying Odegaard's not going to get a chance at Real Madrid. They've got Modric, Cruz, Casemiro. That's going to be their 3. They've then got Valverde as well. And big up Skull Fuggery in the chat. Hope you're good, bro. And they're talking about keeping Dani Ceballos, which I can't believe that. I think what they're saying is, because he's Spanish, because he's still reasonably young. And don't forget, Ceballos was quite highly rated in Spain. Sometimes the player we see in the Premier League is not the player that exists in a different country. Do you know what I'm saying? Remember Diego Forlan at Manchester United? This guy couldn't hit a barn door in the Premier League. He went to Spain and won the Golden Boot. Like, different leagues, you see totally different players. Dani Ceballos was highly rated in Spain. Real Madrid bought him. He's in the Spanish under-21 squad. He'd had a few Spanish caps. He's come to the Prem and looked like, a spinning top. So it didn't quite work. So, yeah, the general feeling and the reports are saying that Real Madrid will keep Ceballos. Ceballos is also publicly coming out and saying, I want to stay at Real Madrid. I want to make this work. The Real Madrid fans buy into that. They're hearing a lot of things from Odegaard. I'm not happy. I'm not being given a chance. Maybe I should go back to Arsenal. You know what Real Madrid fans are like. They're very unforgiving. They didn't even always cheer Cristiano Ronaldo, who's one of the best players that's ever played for them. So I think there's a possibility this deal can still happen. 35 million compared to Maddison at 65 million will suit Arsenal naturally. Leicester would probably have said, we want the majority of that money up front. They're not an easy team to buy players off. Real Madrid are in big financial difficulty because of the wages and things. They have to reduce the wage bill. Ramos has gone. Varane's on his way out. They need to raise money. And I think Odegaard will probably be surplus to requirements. I think there will be a situation where Madrid turn around and say, if you offer us a decent amount of money, you can have him. What are your feelings on Martin Odegaard? I can see the majority. I want to ask you 2 questions. Number 1, do you rate Martin Odegaard? Do you think he significantly improves the Arsenal team? I personally think he's a very talented footballer. I'm just not sure how much he improves the Arsenal team. I think if he went into a team like Manchester City that dominates the ball with great movement, they get the ball forward quick, I think he would look a top level footballer. I just think at Arsenal, where we're not great in possession, we don't dominate the ball, we haven't got incredible movement, we don't move the ball forward quickly, I think sometimes he doesn't look as effective as he should. And my worry with him, does he become like kind of that Mesut Ozil where he's a luxury player that we can't quite afford to carry in the team? Does he score enough? Does he assist enough? Maybe in time we would have seen a better Martin Odegaard at Arsenal, given more time to settle into the club. So would you take Martin Odegaard? And then my other question, would you rather Arsenal went and spent £30 million more and got Maddison? Do you think Maddison is significantly better than Martin Odegaard? I personally would rather sign Maddison just for the simple fact he's got goals in him. He can shoot from distance. He takes set pieces. He's already used to the Premier League. I think Martin Odegaard's a little bit weak at times as well. I think when you really press him and put pressure on him, he's not the strongest. I wouldn't be mad at Odegaard signing for 35 mil, but I would much rather Arsenal sign James Maddison. That's my personal opinion. Give me your opinions in the chat, people. Big up Pete 1965. Thank you very much for your support and becoming a channel member. Much appreciated. We have got content coming. I think we'll do one at the end of this week. Of course, members can come on and give their opinions as well. So big up for that, Pete. Really appreciate that. And your support on the channel. Big up to Steve Williamson as well. Thank you very much for becoming a member as well. As I said, really appreciate your support. And, make sure everyone likes the video and subscribes. Let's see what he's saying. Lord Nicholas Bentner said he's awful. I mean, listen, I don't think he's awful, Odegaard. You don't get to Real Madrid if you're awful, but I just don't think he's the answer. What Arsenal need in that number 10 role right now, I just don't think Odegaard ticks enough of those boxes. Gets between the lines, yes. Can pick out a pass, yes, but doesn't play that killer pass enough for me. He's almost too nice for me, Odegaard. I feel like he's a nice number 10. He's not the most aggressive. I want a cold-blooded, aggressive number 10. That's what I want at Arsenal. A guy that, listen, if you give him half a yard, 25 yards out, you're in trouble. He's shooting. He's letting off the rocket. And I feel like that's what you can get with Maddison. Don't give Maddison time and space on the edge of the box. I'm not for 1 second saying Odegaard is not a good player. I think he has qualities. I just don't know if he improves this Arsenal team enough. I'm not sure. Big up my bro Akeem, man. He said he's good, but no. And that's kind of how I feel. You know, I think he is a good player. But is he the answer? Izzy said I'd take him, but nothing more than 35 mil. Junior said Odegaard is quality, Big C. Boy 10 said Odegaard is overrated. Good technique, but he's not doing anything with that tech. That for me is kind of where I am. We talk about Bruno Fernandes. Bruno Fernandes is a player that I'm not a particularly big fan of Bruno Fernandes, right? But one thing I like about him is he's doing what you want from a number 10. He scores goals and he sets up goals. That's what me as a manager, I would desperately want from a 10. I don't want a number 10 to just look neat and tidy and keep the ball, pass. I want you to rip defenses apart. I want teams to feel like we have to stop him getting on the ball or our team is in big trouble. I don't know if teams are scared of Martin Odegaard. I don't know if they are. When you play against Man United, no matter what you think about Bruno Fernandes, you know you've got to stop him getting on the ball. You have to. He's going to keep shooting. He's going to keep looking for that pass. And eventually it will work if you allow it to happen. I don't know if teams have that same feeling with Odegaard. And that's my issue. I think with Maddison, he has got some of that about him. You can't let Maddison keep shooting from 25. He'll slap one in the top corner. For me, pay the extra 30 and get Maddison. That's my opinion. It's a good question. Vivek said, question is, can he improve and how much? Listen, that's a very good question. I like that. I think he can improve, Martin Odegaard. I think he can improve. What my question back to that question would be, how much can he improve in this team with the way we're playing? And how much can he improve under this manager? Because I don't think at this moment, Arteta has improved that many players at Arsenal. Outside of maybe a couple of the young players. Alex said he is only 22, Curtis, and he was getting better. He actually put in work and pressers. Listen, Alex, yeah, I agree with you on that. I've never once questioned his work rate. I was actually quite surprised how hard he worked for a number 10. It's just, is he effective enough? You know, is he effective enough? We still, as much as people talk about him, we still haven't replaced Aaron Ramsey in terms of a goal-scoring midfielder. I want a midfielder that can get 10 goals for us. You know, I want someone that can shoot from distance, take set pieces. We get so many free kicks, and I'm like, are we going to score this? Have we, you know, I think Maddison is very good at that. The one problem I would say with Maddison, a few Leicester fans have said it, is, you know, what on them days when Leicester are not playing very well, does he work hard enough? I think a few people have said when they're not great, he's not great. He kind of disappears with the team. So that's the one question mark that I think people put on Maddison. Big up Jonathan Ampwee with the super chat as usual, bro. Thank you for your support. If you buy Odegaard, you need to buy a striker that's powerful and buy Basuma to partner party. Maddison suits the current squad better at the moment. See, the thing is, and I always say this, we were talking about this yesterday, when you play with a number 10, you need to have a top quality midfield behind you. You need two that can protect him, that can allow him to go and play. We need a better centre midfielder next to Thomas Partey so that you can free up a number 10, like a Maddison or an Odegaard. you need that midfield to allow them to go and play if you're going to do that. I can see a lot of you. Listen, I appreciate all the interaction. I'm going to try and get through a lot of your comments here because a lot of you are saying it. If Odegaard comes 100%, no. Europe said elite alpha male. Chris said Maddison is not twice as good as Odegaard. Odegaard is younger and will develop. Roy said Maddison, his attitude, likes to party. London would suit him. Odegaard too similar to Dani. Ceballos, says Kid Kibble. Daniel said Maddison is too nice. We need a Roy Keane type. I mean, we probably need both. Dominic said Maddison is not a leader. King said Odegaard is ish, bro. Take Tammy. New Henri trust. Yo, we ain't falling for that trap, you know. Man said Tammy's the new Henri. Odegaard has a higher ceiling than Maddison. Maybe. I mean, I think he's a couple years younger than him, to be fair. Gideon said Maddison is a better option. Wow said Odegaard plus Zakaria is better than Maddison. Maddison is overrated. Interesting. Listen, I like your thoughts here. And this is why it's hard to sign players, because sometimes fans don't agree on certain opinions, you know. So if we get Odegaard, some people will say that's the better signing. He's younger. He's got a bigger ceiling. He's played for Real Madrid. And then if you buy Maddison, some people will say that's the better signing. Premier League experience, knows the league, scores more goals, can shoot, take set pieces. So it's a mix and match. For me, I would go for Maddison. I don't know. I don't know with Odegaard. I do like him as a footballer. He's very tidy. But is he the answer? I think he's an answer, maybe not the answer. I don't know why. I think Maddison would really suit Arsenal. I don't know why. I've just got this vision at the Emirates. The ball breaks to Maddison on the edge of the box and he's just smashing one in the top corner. I can just see him working at Arsenal, you know. So we'll have to see. It's interesting because we're always talking about Arsenal and the money, spending the money, getting the right players. But I just don't think at times we have to. What we've got to do now, we've got to find a way that when we spend money, we get value. We have to start getting value for money. We can't afford to keep throwing money away on players, and then when we sell them, we don't get our money back. You know, the self-sustaining model has to work properly. You have to make players go up in value. You look at this list. Arsenal's most expensive transfers. And you look at these players and you think, right, Arsenal need a change of direction. Number one, the players that left, most of them went for less than they were bought for. The players that are still at the club, are any of them worth more than we paid for them? When you go through this list, it's quite damning. And this is what has to change at Arsenal Football Club if we are ever going to be successful moving forward. And Edu has to get this right. You start from the bottom of this list. Lucas Torreira, 25 million. If we were to sell him now, let's be honest, 15 to 10 million, I would say, for Torreira right now. William Saliba, 27 million. I don't think we'd even get our money back if we sold him. We have to... Hopefully we get him back, get him in the team and his value goes up in time. Let's hope he has a good year and we get him on a new contract. Mkhitaryan left the club. We actually had to pay Mkhitaryan to leave the football club to go and join Roma. So we actually paid more to get rid of him. Mustafi took a pay up. We paid him to leave the football club. Alexis Sanchez, in my opinion, the best player of the Emirates era at Arsenal, an absolutely unbelievable footballer, you know, one of my favourite wingers that I've ever seen play for Arsenal. We swapped him for Mkhitaryan, who we then paid to leave. So effectively, we got nothing for Alexis Sanchez, which is just wild, you know. Granit Xhaka, £40 million. We're now struggling to get 15.5 million. That's the current offer on the table from Roma, less than 50%. Mesut Ozil, £42 million. Again, we paid him to leave. You know, we paid him. We got nothing for him. Thomas Partey, 45 mil, of course, second season now. We need to see more from him. Again, put a proper centre midfielder next to him, and I think you see a much better player. And, of course, a full pre-season as well, I think will make a big difference for Partey. Lacazette, I mean, we're going to talk about Lacazette shortly being linked again with Atletico Madrid for £15 million. Again, we paid 47.7 million for him. And we're talking about 15 million quid. Aubameyang, 57. I mean, Aubameyang for the first 2.5 years was probably even better than what we paid for him. Last season, there was a drastic dip. I think it's a case of this season, can we get him back to that level? And of course, Nicolas Pepe. Now, I big Nicolas Pepe up a lot. You know, anybody that watches the live streams, he's often on the green screen. We call him Pete, which is his nickname. And, you know, I'm always rooting for Nicolas Pepe to do well. But at the moment, because of him and because of the manager, we haven't seen a £72 million player as of yet, right? As of yet, we just haven't seen it, right? I do think he's a baller. I think he's been our best player in pre-season in terms of attacking player. And I do think we're going to see a better Nicolas Pepe this season. But you should not be able to put a list up of that many players and say, it's gone wrong, it's gone wrong, it's gone wrong. And even the ones that went right ended up going wrong. You know, Alexis Sanchez at £38 million is an absolute bargain. We should have still either had him at the football club or we should have sold him for 80, 90 million. You know, so the club now, we need to be in a situation in 5 years' time where this list, you've got 5 or 6 players on this list and you go, he's worked, he's got better. Of course, you've got to look at this. Ben White is going to become our 3rd most expensive transfer in the history of the football club, which sounds crazy when you put it like that. Ben White will be the 3rd most expensive Arsenal player of all time, right? He's coming into a real pressure situation, is Ben White. And listen, he's got my full support. Any player that joins Arsenal has my full support. I just hope he can deal with that expectation and the weight on his shoulders of coming to such a big club with such a big price tag, you know. So we'll have to see. South London's Finest says Pepe needs a competent right back for him to thrive. I actually think he's got a great partnership with Cedric. I honestly do. I think that's his best partnership for me. And there's talk that Cedric will play the first game of the season. So if he does play, then I hope that Pepe plays on the right. But I totally agree with you. You could see next to Bellerin, he wasn't comfortable. He looked a lot more comfortable, even next to Chambers. Big up Jashar in the chat. He said, great analysis, Curtis. Now, big up, bro. I thought it was important we look at this because we do have this argument that the Kroenkes don't spend. I think they do spend. I just don't think they spend right. And I don't think they do enough of it at the same time. As you can see here, it's like we'll spend big in 2013, Ozil. Then in 14, it was Sanchez. But then in 15, nobody got on this list, you know. And then in 16, you brought in Mustafi and Granit Xhaka. Now, the rumours were at the time that Arsene Wenger wanted Kostas Manolas and N'Golo Kante. Instead, we got Granit Xhaka and Shkodran Mustafi. That's where we messed up. 2015, that sort of time, that's when we tried to get Luis Suarez. So that's where we messed up. You know, you look at 17, Lacazette, okay. 18, we got Mkhitaryan and Aubameyang, but really that was just replacing Sanchez, who had left. And we got Torreira. In 19, we got Pepe and Saliba. Saliba's hardly kicked a ball. So it was too much at once, you know. Like, we needed more at once, should I say, rather than spreading it over 5 or 6, 7 years. That's the problem. You know, sometimes you got to do 200 million in one window. So your team is just revitalized at once. But it is what it is. It's a crazy situation. Let's vote and like for Curtis Shaw TV. Yeah, big up, bro. Appreciate that. The link's there in the description, people, for the votes. Best new content creator. John Page said 30k subs by next week. Let's hope so, man. Well, I think we're about 450 subscribers away from 30k. So that would be amazing if we could hit that this week, people. Over 1,700 people in the chat right now. Thank you for your support as always. Smash a like. Can we get 1,000 likes and subscribe if you haven't already? Tommy said consider inflation. Yeah, 100%. Inflation, of course, happens. You know, I think the Neymar deal shifted the entire transfer market. You know, the world record was Pogba at 90 million. All of a sudden, we went to Neymar at 200 million. Then you saw the likes of Coutinho, Dembele, João Felix, Griezmann, all these players all of a sudden were going for 100 million plus. So the market was pulled upwards. And I think this is why a player like Pepe cost 72 million. He really should have cost maybe 40 million, 50 million maximum. But that window of Neymar just escalated the transfer market. Mustafi was money in the bin. Oh, I mean, terrible signing. I saw interviews with Gary Neville saying they were desperate to get rid of him when he was at Valencia. All of a sudden, we came in smashing the door down with 36.9 million for him. Alexander B said, do you find that it's hard to really care with Arsenal anymore? Insanity is seeing the same thing over and over and expecting something to change. Listen, Alexander, you make a great point. All Arsenal fans are in a situation where we've had so much frustration over the years, but for some reason we've still got that hope that something's going to change. The only thing that I'm trying to cling to this year as a positive is, I think from January you saw that there was a real willingness to get rid of the deadwood. We got rid of Mustafi and Ozil and Socrates and these players in one window, which I thought was good. Obviously, we need to get rid of 4, 5, 6 more in this window. We're looking for young, hungry players, which I think is the way to go. But we obviously need experienced, quality players to support them and help them, around them. But I just think the direction of what we're going for is changing. We're going for younger, hungrier players. They're not the exciting players, which is not great in that sense. As a fan, you can't help it. You want exciting signings, but at least we're not buying washed-up old players, your Willians and players like that anymore. So we'll have to see in that sense. Whether anything changes. But I hear you. It's not easy. Nocturnal Media said, football fan first, Arsenal second. That guy D smashed the likes, people. Big up, bro. We always overpay. We've got to be that club now. And I always refer to the Liverpool model, because to me, that's the benchmark. They've shown how this model can work. We can't do what Chelsea can do. We can't do what Manchester City can do. They can go out there and blow money and just spend 100 million on a player. We can't do that. You got to look at Liverpool. You got to look at Klopp. What Klopp does, he came in, he's got a philosophy. So whatever Mikel Arteta's philosophy is, I think he wants us to play possession-based football. Similar to Manchester City, of course, we won't be as good. He wants a goalkeeper that's good on the ball. That's why he wanted Onana. He wants Ben White. He wants his kind of John Stones ball-playing centre-back. He wants a Ruben Neves or a Locatelli, the ball-playing centre-mid that can dictate kind of how like a Jorginho or a Rodri does. Then he wants the number 10 who can play, Maddison or Smith Rowe. And I think he wants us to go and keep possession. So you get your philosophy. You get the whole team knowing how we're going to play. And then you've got to pick your gems. So we need a Lokonga or a Tavares or someone like that. We need a couple of them to really take off and surprise people, where we can look at it and say, okay, now we know how Arsenal play. Too many of us, we watch Arsenal and we go, I don't know what the Arsenal style is. I don't know what the philosophy is. That's the benchmark that Arsene Wenger left at the football club, was we have a philosophy. We know what the Arsenal way is. And that has disappeared over the last couple of years under Emery and Arteta. So, you have to get your philosophy first, your style, then you cherry pick the players and then you build it. This is what is going to be on Arteta this year. Not only does Arteta need to sign players, he needs to get more out of the players that are at the football club. I need to see a better Nicolas Pepe, a better Thomas Partey. I want Kieran Tierney to be fit nearly all season. I want Gabriel to improve. I want to see a better Leno. Ben White needs to hit the ground running. All of these things. Smith Rowe should be scoring 10 goals if he's playing in that 10 role. So these are all the things. Yannick said maybe we'll get Max Aarons next summer when they go back down. I mean, listen, apparently he's available this summer. So if they want him, go and get him now, man. Really good, said fan of Curtis from Malaysia. Give me a shout out, please. Big up, man. Big up for tuning in. We're worldwide in here. We've got a great community as well. So big up for tuning in. Much appreciated. Junior said, thoughts on Lautaro Martinez. Listen, I'd love Arsenal to get him. I think he's a great player who's being linked with Barcelona for about 90 million last season. I don't see any chance of getting him. I know there was a little report. I saw a little report going around on social media saying that Arsenal might be looking at him. There's no way on earth we're getting Lautaro Martinez. So I wouldn't get our hopes up for that one. And they've sold Hakimi. They don't need to sell him. Jonathan Ampwee, big up, bro, said, if we get Maddison or Odegaard, what formation do you think we play? What effect do you think buying Odegaard or Maddison has on ESR? I think, first of all, he must want to play 4-2-3-1 because if he was going to play 4-3-3, there's no real need to buy another number 10. I think he wants to play 4-2-3-1, occasionally 4-3-3. I think if we would sign Odegaard or Maddison, you would see a situation at times where Smith Rowe plays off the left, which I think we did see at times last season, where he played Odegaard 10 and Smith Rowe off the left. I'm not the biggest fan of that. I think when you've got wide players like, Martinelli, Saka, Pepe, you can play two of those three out wide most of the time. There were games where Smith Rowe played on the left. I think it was Tottenham at home where Kieran Tierney was on the overlap and we destroyed Doherty in that game. So it does work. I think Smith Rowe will be rotated. He'll play 10. He'll play left wing. Sometimes they may occasionally play with two number 8s. So, yeah, I think you'll get plenty of football, though. But I appreciate your question, bro. Mua Musa said, big up, Curtis. You're the best of the lot. Big fan from Uganda. Thank you very much, bro. Elite Alpha Male, 89 appearances, 24 goals, 15 assists. I mean, I'm sure those 89 appearances are not all starts either. I would imagine a lot of those are off the bench. Let Pepe go this year. I don't mean let him go in terms of signing him. I mean, let him off the leash. Play him, believe in him. Let him know that he's one of your main players. As a player, and even the levels I played at, it's such a different feeling when you know that your manager believes in you. You feel sometimes as a player that a manager picks you for you to fail. He's waiting for you to do something wrong so he can say, there you go, I told you so, he's not good enough, and drop him. There's such a different feeling when you feel like the manager is backing you, he believes in you. You have a bad game, you're not going to get dropped. It allows you to build a partnership with that right back. For me, if you're picking Arsenal's best team right now, Nicolas Pepe is in it. I would play him on the right. I would give him the opportunity to build a partnership with Cedric or hopefully a new right back. I know Saka played on the right a lot, but I think Pepe should be on the right and play Saka on the left. I think Saka can play on the left. What right back? Yeah, well, that's the question. Obviously, I'd love to see a Max Aarons or a new right back come in. I've just got a feeling we're going to get stuck with what we've got. I think we're struggling to move Bellerin. But I think for me at the moment, I would go with Cedric if I had to pick out of what we've got. Or maybe can Ainsley become that right back? Maybe Ainsley's gone to West Brom and thought, you know what? Grass ain't always greener, man. I played centre mid, but, I played for West Brom and got relegated. But according to all reports, Cedric will be at right back first game of the season. Big up Richard Reed. He said, big up Big C. As Gooners, we've always got to cling on to that hope and bring back that bygone era of the past. Listen, football, it does swing in roundabouts, I'm sure for some of the older fans, you've seen time periods where Arsenal fell off and then all of a sudden the glory came back. George Graham, Arsene Wenger, and now we're going through our bad spell. Our bad spell is still not as bad as certain other clubs. I saw Toby Alderweireld's left Tottenham today. For me, a very good centre-back. Hasn't won a trophy in his whole time there. Arsenal has still been nicking FA Cups and nicking a Community Shield and, getting quite far in Europa Leagues. It's not good, but it's not like we're not getting absolutely nothing. We just got to improve in the league. We need one transfer window to transform this team. But we have got to cling on to the hope. But the manager's got a big, big job on his hands, Ainsley Maitland-Niles' ship has sailed. I mean, you say that, but he's in training. You know, if the manager sees something he likes, then it's not impossible for him to get back involved. I hear you. I think a lot of the fans feel it's over. But I still think Ainsley could be at Arsenal next season. I've got to be honest. Right back's the priority. We got to sell. We have to sell, you know. If we don't sell, we're going to be stuck. Big up FFTV in the chat. Big up Fran. I will be on his channel at 4 o'clock. So I'm going to wrap up here shortly. And we're going over to there at 4 o'clock. So make sure you join us for that. Go and subscribe to his channel. And we're going to preview the Premier League predictions. You know, who's going to win it, who's going to get top 4, relegated, who's going to be top scorer. You know, all those things, the big signings that have happened. So join me at 4 o'clock for that one over on FFTV. Niles is a waste. I might be wrong, but I think Ainsley Maitland-Niles is staying as a centre mid. I mean, listen, I'm not going to lie. I don't want to see him as a centre mid at Arsenal. I want to see him, if he stays at Arsenal, for me, he should play right back. You know, I said all off to France for afternoon tea. That's it, man. You came here for brunch. We go to France for afternoon tea. Check Twitter message, Curtis. I have a football content idea. Anybody who's on Twitter who doesn't follow me, because I actually don't promote my socials on it. Curtis Shaw 9. Curtis Shaw, then the number 9. Follow me on Twitter, people. Anybody wants to reach out, hit me up in the DMs on there and stuff. And yeah, I need to get some of you following me on there. Let's move on. Let's move on so I can start wrapping up. We've got a few more stories to get through. Obviously, we spoke about this yesterday. Lacazette. This one seems to be heating up, and I've just seen that Sky Sports now are actually quite slow at reporting a lot of these stories. But Sky Sports are now actually reporting this Tammy Abraham situation with Arsenal. Which worries me because, as I always say, it seems to be every time we're interested in a player that I don't want us to get, it seems like that's going to happen. But Sky Sports are now reporting Arsenal are interested in Tammy Abraham. The Gunners would like an initial loan. Chelsea want a permanent sale set at 40 million, although reports state Chelsea would be willing to loan him out if there was an obligation. So it could heat up. Now, of course, we did speak about this briefly yesterday. So like we said, Sky are now reporting the interest of Arsenal in Tammy Abraham. So I think this is a legitimate interest from Arsenal. So if you're like me, when it comes to this Tammy Abraham thing, you're not going to be overly happy right now. But we'll see. Some of you rate him. Atletico Madrid have set their sights yet again on Arsenal forward Alexandre Lacazette. Now, this, for me, could happen. In 2017, Arsenal bought Lacazette for £50 million. He initially agreed to join Atletico. The deal was done. Atletico Madrid received a transfer ban from UEFA. They couldn't complete the deal. He ended up signing for Arsenal. Diego Simeone is a big fan of Lacazette. They were even linked with him last summer in a potential loan move that never came to fruition. They ended up signing Luis Suarez, who ended up scoring over 20 goals. They won the title. Luis Suarez is 34 years of age now. They've got, you know, the Spanish Cup, the Champions League, La Liga. They want to defend it. They want another striker to take the heat off Luis Suarez. Now, they know that Lacazette will be cheap. Apparently, they're preparing an offer of £13 million, which is 15 million euros, but Arsenal want £15 million. If there's a £2 million difference in this, I'm sure Atletico Madrid have got the money to just say, do you know what, 15 million, you can have it. Now, they had Moussa Dembele on loan last season from Lyon. It was believed that he could have potentially been their new striker. He had a bad time and he had some health issues. He actually collapsed on the training ground and didn't hardly score any goals over there. They've sent him back to Lyon. Apparently, he's doing well at Lyon in pre-season. Obviously, Lyon lost Memphis Depay, so I think Dembele is going to stay at Lyon. They need a striker. Lacazette is a striker that he likes. He's friends with Lamar and a few other players. 15 million quid is going to suit them down to the ground. They don't mind signing older players as well. They've signed Suarez at 34, 33 when they got him. Lacazette to Atletico Madrid actually makes a lot of sense for everybody. Arsenal have a player with 11 months left on his contract that they don't want to give a new contract to. Lacazette is going to want to go to a club and get security. He's 30. He wants a deal so he knows where his future's going. Champions League, champions of Spain. It's an absolute no-brainer for everybody, really. I think, depending on how real that interest is from Atletico Madrid, if that interest is genuine, I could see this deal occurring. Now, the strange thing about this deal is Lacazette has looked better in pre-season than Aubameyang because, once again, and I always talk about this, the style of football that Mikel Arteta wants to use, I actually don't think suits Aubameyang. I don't think he wants to play that kind of football that like Leicester play, where get the ball forward quickly and get your striker in behind. You see Leicester, they get the ball, win it back, get it forward quickly to Vardy and try and get him in behind. That's kind of how Lacazette is kind of the opposite to that, where Aubameyang likes that kind of Vardy style. That's how Dortmund play, hit you on the break with pace. With slower build-up and more possession-based football, I'm not even sure Aubameyang even works in that system. So to let Lacazette go is a bit like, but then the problem is you can't let Lacazette run down his contract and walk out next year when you've paid 50 million quid for him. We may end up in a situation where Lacazette is sold for 15 million and the club go and get Tammy Abraham on loan. Now, for me, I've given you my opinions on Tammy, so I don't want to bang on about him too much. I don't particularly rate him. I don't think he's worth £40 million. I will give him some credit. The first year when Lampard came in, I think he got 15 league goals. He's 6'4". He's 23. He's an Arsenal fan. He is a nuisance to play against. Maybe he can improve and become an even better striker. I'm just looking at him at the moment and saying for £40 million, I'm not convinced by him. That's just my opinion. But he may come in and do well. So this may happen, people. This may happen. Lacazette to Atletico Madrid may happen. So don't be surprised if you see developments on that one. Big up Jashari said, if El Neni got a reprieve, so can Ainsley Maitland-Niles. He's a better centre mid than El Neni. Listen, you've got to look at, we're now in a market where with Brexit, English players' prices have gone up. They're worth more than what they've ever been worth. They may look at Ainsley and just say, keep him. Can play centre mid, can play right back, can play wing back. I wouldn't be surprised if they kept him. I really wouldn't. I think they're more likely to sell Joe Willock because you've got a club there that's willing to pay for him in Newcastle. Ben Harney said, good day, Curtis. If we're setting up for the future, is there any other young strikers instead of Tammy? I mean, would we rather go with Balogun and maybe Martinelli than buy a Tammy Abraham, you know? I'm just thinking of young strikers that this is the problem. The striker market is so poor right now that some clubs are just sticking with what they've got rather than going and trying to buy someone who's gonna cost you a lot of money. You know, you look, Dani Ings is what, 28, 29? He would cost you 30, 40 million. He's had knee injuries as well. Does that represent value for money? I mean, Mikel Antonio, I don't think he's good enough. He would be a good plan B, Antonio, but he's about 30 as well. Vlahovic looks very good over there in Italy. I think he'll get a big move soon, though. He would be expensive. You know, it's not a good market to go and get a striker. So I don't know. I don't know. Tammy is a difficult one for me to get my head around, but maybe as a plan B on loan, but you've still got to pay the 40 million for him next year. It's not like he's free. So we'll have to see. Throw any names in. Odson Edouard, 18 million. Is he good enough to play at Arsenal? Possibly. Alfred, big up with a super chat, bro, said, Arsenal is like being in a real relationship. You know your partner is not good for you and toxic, but you love them and keep hoping they will change. That's Arsenal, bro. That's Arsenal. You're still reminiscing on the good times. These are the good times in the background when we were being, you know, looked after. Now, you know, it's stressful, but we're still out here hoping for the good times, man. Daniel Marlin, yeah, he's gone to Dortmund now, so that one's out the window. Watkins, I mean, Watkins would be expensive. They paid 30 million for him. I'm sure they would want 45 to 50 mil for him. Is he worth that? Tammy will surprise you lot. I mean, I think he will surprise me, but I don't know if he'll surprise me for the good. Leon Bailey, yeah, winger. You know, maybe we could get a winger and move Martinelli central. Tammy's better than Edouard. I mean, listen, I don't doubt that, but he would cost double the money, you know. I kind of like Vico ahead of the ball. Don't know him. Guna said, Big C, you missed Anthony's super chat. Oh, man, apologies, Anthony, if I missed. I honestly didn't see it. Let me swipe through. Anthony, if you put a super chat in, just put a comment in. Put the comment in again, normal. You know, don't pay for it. And I'll read it out. Ivan Toney, as Fran would say. Fran loves Ivan Toney. But again, 40 million for a guy at the Championship. There's a lot of risk. Bamford, for me, I'm not convinced. He suits Leeds. I don't know about Bamford. Curtis Shaw, Tammy. Come on, man. You know Buenos Aires Gunner. Way more flair than Tammy, bro. Nah, big up Tammy. If he ends up at Arsenal, I'll change my tune. I'll have to try and make it sound positive, you know. Simon Bolo, baller. Oh, he looked like a beast in the Euros. Didn't actually score that many goals in his season. I think he plays for Mönchengladbach. With Thuram as well. Lilian Thuram's son. Mr. Shares at AFC said, what advice do you have, Curtis, for upcoming YouTubers like myself? It's funny, you know, a lot of people ask me this, and I still feel like I'm learning myself. So all I would say is, you know, just try and improve all the time, be consistent, and you figure it out along the way. You know, you all want the perfect channel when you start. You want the greatest background, the best lighting, you know, you want the sound to be great. I started off on my phone. You lot will remember, you used to see the fridge and the clock in the background. You know, you have to just start off how you start off, and then you practice, and eventually you'll get better and better, you know. So just keep, you know, you'll learn along the way. We are linked with Lautaro Martinez. Listen, that I looked into that before I came on. I wouldn't do that to yourself as an Arsenal fan. I don't want to give you false hope. You know, it doesn't even look like it's coming from a good source either. So, you know me, I would have had that all over the title if I had any real belief that it was going to happen. I'm just looking now. I did see a report about it, but it looks more like paper talk than anything else. I don't see any chance how we could get Lautaro Martinez. They tried to sell him for 90 million. Player or Schick. Yeah, Schick looked decent the other day. The other week in the Euros, scored some goals. I don't know how good he is in his own league. He said, big up Curtis. I think I'm the first to be here from Burma. Give me a shout out. Hey, big up, man. Big up. Appreciate you tuning in and supporting. Let's see what else. Let's see what Neil said. Curtis, why do you dislike Tammy so much? He scored goals everywhere he's been. He's young and knows the Prem. We have to be realistic in what players we can attract. I'm kind of in the thought process that, okay, so let's look at what he's saying. He scored goals. He's been in the Championship. He's come to the Prem. He had one full season in the Prem where he did do decent, right? So he's young and knows the Prem. Cool. But to me, when you sign a player for £40 million, I expect improvement. Is he better than Lacazette? I'm not sure. And sometimes I think you're better off not buying when you don't find what you really want. I would probably rather see Martinelli and Balogun play backup to Aubameyang than spend 40 million on Tammy. I would rather say to the club, save that 40 till next summer, because next summer things can change. We could be in the Europa League. We could be in the Champions League. I say it like that because it's not realistic, but it's possible. Things will change. That 40 million might get you a better striker next summer. You know, there might be strikers out of contract. So it's not that I dislike Tammy Abraham. It's that I don't see the value in him at £40 million. I would rather just give Martinelli and Balogun a chance and see how good they can become, and go and spend 40 million next year, or for 50 million, you might get somebody who's way better than him. So I don't doubt that the guy's got qualities. I just don't think he's the answer to what we need. And there is a little bit of that there as well, Caps. Like, yo, man, how many times are we going to go and do our shopping at Chelsea? Oh, we need a centre-back, David Luiz. Oh, we need a winger, Willian. We need a keeper, Peter Cech. We need a striker. Tammy Abraham. Come on. Is that all? Is that the only phone number in the phone book? Oh, let's ring, what's her name? Marina from Chelsea. Let's ring Marina and get bumped by Chelsea. Come on. It doesn't look good. How are we supposed to overtake Chelsea when we're taking their leftovers? We're taking the players that Chelsea are saying, right, this guy is not good enough to elevate this football club. So we're then taking them and expecting us to overtake that. It doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. Do you know what I mean? It's got no logical sense behind it. But hey, we'll have to see. We'll have to see. Listen, I like people debating and saying different things. There are a few people have messaged me and saying, listen, I would take Tammy. I just don't see it. I don't see the value in it. And like you said, I think Abraham is a little bit clumsy. And if we want to play possession-based football, I don't think you go for Tammy Abraham. Yossi Benayoun, again, another Chelsea one. It's funny because when Chelsea get them off us, they seem to work. Do you know what I mean? They took Ashley Cole. They took Olivier Giroud. They were successful there. We take William Gallas, Yossi Benayoun, Peter Cech, David Luiz, Willian. Now you're talking about, Tammy Abraham. Just come on. They've got to have a bit more self-respect. Just tell them, no, we don't want Tammy, man. But we'll see. It's Arsenal. We always do different things. David Luiz was probably our best defender last season. You're right. That says more about us than him, But it is what it is, people. One more bit of news before I get out of here. Yeah, Cesc Fabregas. Man said even Eddie came from Chelsea. Yo, and you're spot on. Eddie came from Chelsea, man, so we're getting bumped constantly by Chelsea. You know what I mean? They've done us quite a few times. This could be some great news. And if you've been watching my streams, and I'm sure you'll agree with this, I hope. Sam Johnston, just come and save us from what potentially could have happened. West Bromwich Albion have set a £12 million asking price for Sam Johnston, and Arsenal are giving serious consideration to the Baggies keeper as an alternative to the £40 million rated Aaron Ramsdale. Now, there's a few things I have to say here. Number one, you don't need to give it no serious consideration. It's a no-brainer. Number one, I actually think Sam Johnston's a better goalkeeper than Aaron Ramsdale, regardless of the price. But if one's costing 12 and the other one, they're trying to value him at 40 million, come on, do me a favor. For 40 million, you should be getting a top level goalkeeper. You know what I mean? 12 million for Sam Johnston, absolute no-brainer. Good goalkeeper. I think he would be willing to come in at Arsenal and challenge with Leno. I know, while saying Ramsdale is 5 years younger, but he ain't £28 million better. That's the big deal. Look, Sam Johnston's 28. 28 for a goalkeeper is young. 28 for a keeper's like being 22, 23 for an outfield player. Buffon's 41, I think. He's still playing. For me, this is an absolute no-brainer. They don't need to give it serious consideration. Go to West Brom, get the deal done. I like Sam Johnston. 12 million, yeah, offer them 10. They might take it. But again, it's the Arsenal way. They'll probably go and offer 35 million for Ramsdale. It wouldn't surprise me. It's the players' Curtis, as Kev would say, How about the goalkeeper from Switzerland? Is that Jan Sommer? Yeah, he did well in the Euros. Decent keeper. I think Arsenal want an English keeper. Sheffield United is trying to fraud us, putting a high price, makes us think he's decent. I'm telling you, sometimes people do that in life. They just make things expensive, and because it's expensive, people think it's worth that, This is how society works sometimes. You see a new brand in the shop, and it's like £800 for a pair of trainers. People automatically think that's some premium footwear. But it's just in an expensive shop, in a fancy bag, and, a nice name, and they put the price up. This is what branding is all about, but Arsenal are falling for it. Buenos Aires Guna, LOL Curtis, if it makes sense, Arsenal won't do it. You know how it goes, people. You know how it goes. But listen, Arsenal, come on. Sam Johnston, 12 million. Better goalkeeper than Ramsdale, in my opinion. Less than half the price. Okay, he's a bit older, but he's better. Do you know what I mean? Take Pereira. For me, if we don't get Maddison in that 10 role, I genuinely would go and get Mateus Pereira. I really like him. And apparently they want like 15 to 20 million for him. Left-footed, more aggressive, scores goals, more aggressive in terms of Odegaard, scores goals, skillful, takes set pieces. I would go for him 100%. So Sam Johnston, give us some good news, man. You know what I'm saying? Get that deal done. 12 million. It's nice and cheap. You save a little, 18 million if you were going to pay 30 for Ramsdale, and go and put that towards Maddison or a right back or something like that, So let's see how it goes. But Arsenal, plenty of news out there today anyway. Like I said, Sky Sports are now reporting the Tammy Abraham deal. So, maybe there is legs in it. We'll see. I hope not, but it is what it is. Arsenal need to get moving and shaking. Players need to be moved. Like you're saying, Mukhtar, just over 2 weeks. 2 weeks this Friday, Arsenal kick off the Premier League season. The number one question, are Arsenal ready to start the Premier League season? In my opinion, we are not ready at the moment. 5 or 6 players need to be sold. In fact, maybe 7 or 8 players need to be sold. And I would say 3 or 4 need to come in after Ben White. But it's all there. We'll be patient. I told you I'm not going to get too carried away. I'm not going to get too excited if we sign someone. And I'm not going to be overly negative if we haven't signed someone. I will wait. I will be balanced. I've even said Mikel Arteta is getting a chance. It's as simple as that. Something that I've never said. I'm willing to sit there, be quiet, and see how it plays out. If it doesn't play out right, then you know what time it is, people. You've seen the pictures on previous streams. They will be back out in full effect. But listen, let's get some players in. Let's be ready for the season. Let's go and spank Brentford and get ready for the games. Arsenal play tomorrow against Watford in a behind-closed-doors friendly. They haven't announced on the website whether they're going to show this game or not. If they show it, I will do a watch-along. But at the moment, they haven't revealed anything. So, as far as I'm aware, I'll be back tomorrow at 2 o'clock. If they say that game will be shown, then there'll be a watch-along as well. So let's hope we've got that. This Sunday, Arsenal play against Chelsea in a pre-season friendly. I'm not sure what's happening yet because I have got a ticket. So I don't know whether to go to the game and do a vlog or do a watch-along. I'm going to wait up. So we'll have to see with that one. But we'll definitely be covering it either way. Alex said James Ward-Prowse, Calvin Phillips and Ollie Watkins. You're looking at 150 at least there. Like I said, they play Watford behind closed doors tomorrow. Positive, Curtis. You love to see it, bro. I'm always positive, I'm a very positive person. Sometimes my negativity towards the club it's coming from a place of positivity in terms of I just want to see the club do better. We shouldn't put up with mediocrity at this football club as fans, We have to demand more, But it is what it is. We're being positive. We're moving, people. Listen, see you all at 4 p.m. on FFTV. I'll be on there in 10 minutes, so join me over there. We'll be previewing the new Premier League season, and I'll see you here live 2 p.m. tomorrow, and hopefully we get a watch-along if Arsenal will show us the game. It'll probably be $7.99 or something. Enjoy the rest of your day, people. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bless.